fucking go. We about to go big. Killing with the PrizePicks. Let's fucking go. We going out blazing.
Let's get hunting.
This is population. About to go big. Killing with the PrizePicks. About to go big. Killing with the PrizePicks. 24/7 researching, it's all a fantasy. But if I make the right plays, it pays automatically. Bankroll showing that I know it dope strategy. On a winning streak, I'm stacking a dose of the bookies, all get mad at me. Confident with power plays, not clicking on a flex today. 10 times the money, and we all about to get paid. Eric and Josh on the stream, they be killing it. Never gonna stop it, they like if you feeling it. Digging the players, they all never time. You can't make up your mind, then just go with your gut. Fantasizing Sasha Cloud, Gabby Williams said watch your mouth. They won and they two, I played the over, they come through. Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum, pick them both, we stacking them. Going big to the maximum, just push them in, we cashing them. Let's fucking go, we about to go big. Killing with the PrizePicks. Let's fucking go, we going out blazing. This is population. About to go big. Killing with the PrizePicks. About to go big. Killing with the PrizePicks. We about to go big.
This is the game.
We going out blazing.
Let's get hunting.
This is population. About to go big. Killing with the PrizePicks. About to go big. Killing with the PrizePicks.
All right, what is up, crew? It is Wednesday, August 10th. We're coming off a really, really fun night last night. Big bounce back night for us after a few rough slates of the weekend. But yeah, how'd it go for you, Eric? I feel like our process was on point, and it was really rewarding to see it paid off.
Yeah, man, had a really good night. Saw a ton of screenshots in the community, so that's always amazing to see. And looking to really keep a strong finish here towards the end of the season stretch.
Yeah, and I think what we've been noticing and been talking about is, like, as we're at this home stretch, all these teams are right there on the edge of trying to make the playoffs and a lot to play for. And so, we're going to see season high minutes, season high production, all out effort. So, PRA and fantasy definitely paid off last night. And it should continue. So going forward till Saturday, end of the season. So something to keep in mind. Just wanted to recap last night, our core targets. I think we were all on, as a team, had pretty much the same core four. We love Jackie's fantasy as number one individually, and she just crushed it. She did her usual thing at home where she kind of goes away early on, and then at some points in the game, and then at the end, she always turns it on at home at the end of the game, and she did that. So that was awesome to see. And then Jonquil's free throws were easy, and her first half PRA, I mean, she crushed all her props. I think she had her first half PRA, I believe, was like around 28. She just went off. She looks like she's back to form. And then, Plum did her thing with her assist. And then she got a late correction with their block steal afterwards, and she was credited a steal. And McDonald came up big as well as Maya. We liked their potential because they were blowout proof, and Atlanta being so shorthanded. And then, the only real blemish of the night was Candace. Such a weird first half for her. We've seen it. She'll take the first half off and then really step it up in the second half and fourth quarter. And that's what she did. She got like 3/4 of her rebounds in the fourth quarter and finished with 7 rebounds. If she, got maybe 1 or 2 more rebounds in the first half, could have been a different story. I think she finished the first half with 1 or 2 rebounds. It was crazy. I mean, Seattle shot lights out too.
Mm-hmm. It happens.
And then Jewel, she pushed with her assists. It was crazy because Seattle had like a franchise record team assist. But I think you made a really sharp call, and something that we kind of, I played in a card, but I think something we kind of overlooked with her being back home in Chicago. The 24.5 fantasy was just too good of a spot for her, being motivated in front of family and friends. So you called that out, and I think it was a really sharp call. And we maybe got blinded by her potential assist and hit rate. So on the road. And then Asia did her thing with her free throws as usual, and Bree, the cover girl, crushed all her props with her fantasy points and rebound. And then Gabby had a career game, went
Whew.
absolutely off, got her revenge. And Vandersloot keeps up this high production. So yeah, great night. So I hope we can keep that going. We have two games that have huge playoff implications today. And I think it's important to go over the standings real quick before we dive into the games. So we have New York at Dallas. Dallas has already clinched. You see, they already clinched a playoff spot here. But New York is still fighting hard, looking from the outside in, trying to get a spot. They're not out of it yet, but if they lose today, they're pretty much toast. So they're fighting for their lives on the road here in Dallas. And then we have Minnesota at Phoenix, and Phoenix is trying to maintain a last playoff spot seating here. And if Minnesota can win today, they will really catapult and over Phoenix and potentially take their spot, depending on what happens in the last two games this week. So that game has really big implications, and we're going to dive into that. And we really like the potential for that game. So excited about that game, and I hope it can hold true. But yeah, let's get into the first game. We've already broke this down on Monday. They played on Monday. And if we go to that game, let's see. Okay. Yeah, so Natasha Howard's still questionable, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
I doubt she plays, man. I mean, that ankle injury looked really serious. I mean, she couldn't even put weight on it. Because, sometimes if you turn an ankle, you can still put weight on it, and you can even play a game out because of adrenaline, and you can get through it. She absolutely cannot put weight on it, was carried off the court. If I had any inclination, I would say she's most likely out. And just, probably just want to put her on there to show that on the injury report to show that she's actually trying her best. So we're probably going to get this lineup again today, I assume. And yeah, what we saw in that game was that basically Sabrina had to do everything she could to keep New York alive. She took 21 shots. No one even got close to that except Johannes at 11 field goal attempts, and that was like half of Sabrina's attempts. And Sabrina without Natasha, she really has no one around her that can help. I mean, all these players have really bad offensive ratings. If we look at the advanced data here, all of them except Sabrina have a below 100 offensive rating, except Marine coming off the bench. She's probably the only bright spot, and I don't see why she's not starting playing more minutes, in my opinion. But yeah, so I think I get it with Sabrina. I mean, the shot volume is going to be there, but I mean, Dallas has to know this. I mean, they were trying to get in their head. That game was getting scrappy, and they've had a history. There was some back and forth talking, and yeah, I don't know. I would say if I was going to target Sabrina, I would target her points just due to shot volume. Her assists, I feel like, are going to be low because of her supporting cast just not being good. The rebounds will be there, but I would probably just go with the points. I think her points are still at 19.5.
Yeah, they are.
And Bet365, I don't know about Underdog, but Bet365 has her at 21.5 points. So we're getting a 2-point discount there.
Yeah, and I was just going to hit on that real fast. And I think this is definitely a line that's subject to change before locks here. We could totally see this bumped up to an even 20.
Yeah. Yeah, and possibly even her 3-point prop opening up at 2 as well. I would say probably her points and 3-point would probably be the 2 I would target if I was going to get exposure to her. And then the only other piece I would really want access to in New York, assuming that Natasha's out, is probably Marine's 1.5 3-point made. I mean, they're going to need her 3-point shooting, and especially if they're trailing and trying to come from behind, I feel like she's going to chuck it along with Sabrina. She had a great game, but then Dallas started clamping down on her in the second half. So And then one other key thing for handing off to you, I wanted to point out. I think just watching the game and eye test, I think Lainey is just not. She's just not there. I mean, you got to remember she's been out since May with this injury, and it's her third game back. First 2 games back since May, she's played 20 and 23 minutes. She did get some early foul trouble, I think, definitely in the first game, and I think in the second game, somewhat with the 2 early fouls. But even if she gets, let's say, max like 26 minutes, I still don't think it's going to be a hard feat for her to get 16.5 PRA with Sabrina dominating the usage, dominating the shot volume, assists rate. I think we could really consider under on Lainey's 16.5 PRA. They didn't really change it since Monday. I think her fantasy stayed the same and her PRA stayed the same since Monday. And she finished with I think 12 PRA in that game, if I'm not mistaken. 10.
Yeah, I knew it is just right over the double-digit marker. I mean, she really, really struggled.
Yeah, she just doesn't look right. But I mean, you can't blame her. I mean, she's been out since May, right? So
yeah.
So what's your gut feel? How much exposure are you getting to New York? Are they mid-tier? Is there any top-tier plays for you?
Yeah, I think honestly, it's got to start with Sabrina. She just is doing so much of the heavy lifting for the team, and the 1A, 1B, as you know, you're typing it out here. It's got to be between Sabrina and Johannes. If Johannes didn't catch so much fire that game, I mean, there was no way that New York was hanging in there. And sticking true to their theme, you know, they live and died by the 3 ball, and just hopefully their shots are landing to keep them competitive in this game. But it was really surprising, one, that Dallas didn't clamp down so much on Sabrina to begin with, which is something that we kind of fully expected moving forward. So I would kind of caution tonight that, especially if Howard is going to be out, we know that all the usage is going to fall on her shoulders. So maybe Dallas doesn't let that fly so far into the game like they did this last time. And we could see them come out early and play some kind of basic double team and just put the ball in the hands of these secondary pieces and make them make the shots. It could happen. They could keep the game close, but you're asking a lot for, I mean, that was almost a ceiling performance from Johannes, and she really filled up the stat sheet. So if you got a good feeling about that, you know, I definitely think that if Sabrina's lines are a little bit too juiced for your personal taste, you could definitely consider either her 3 points made or just take a blanket on everything and go with the fantasy score. It'll hopefully line up with heavy minutes that she should see again. And that's, you know, coach is going to go with the hot hand here. So we could have a Whitcomb game here. She could come off the bench, light him up for a bunch of threes, and coach could roll with that with the offense. So don't put that past, I would say, any kind of certainty for any of these New York pieces. I do like the undercall for Lainey for several reasons here, as you mentioned, with her being out for so long for the team, but also with just kind of the looming effect of Howard could possibly even step into this game. I don't think that she will play just because I mean, you're talking about a serious injury or something that could lead to a serious injury with so much on the line here for the team, where they could squeak it out and save her for the postseason itself. So there's a couple things to think about there. But with Lainey, they seem to kind of just divvy up the minutes between her, Howard, not Howard, her and Rebecca Allen off of the bench, and just kind of picking and choosing with some of these pieces. So we're getting minutes all over the place outside of really just Sabrina here. So I love the real points call with her. I think that just on volume alone, and we saw an unreal amount of free throw attempts. Just, I mean, ridiculous. And that was something that I also kind of wanted to mention as a side note, that more recently in Dallas, for whatever reason, these refs are being really, really harsh on the penalty calls and being very strict on a lot of these contacts. So small note, I'll say, for you could consider maybe some of these free throw made props on either side here. They're obviously going to be a fringe risk play as they always are, but we saw a ridiculous amount of trips on both sides of the ball here going to the line early.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And she shot 100%, 12 of 12, and she was the only one to take free throws on her team.
Which was 12,
insane. 12 free throws made for the whole entire team, and she was the only one to to take a trip to the charity strike. I think that's good and bad. It shows that she's being aggressive and trying to get it done any way possible, but it's also could rise to more variance, and you're relying on refs making calls. Like you said, they were whistle happy in that game. If they're a little less so in this game today, that could take away a lot of potential points from her if she doesn't get to the free throw line. And so she's going to have to get it done with her 3-point shooting. And if that's the case, then would you just go with her 3-point problem?
Yeah, that'll probably be the easiest path for her, but I wouldn't say been as picky about her shot selection. Right now, at this point, I mean, they just have to get as much of an opportunity as possible to take a shot. And for her, I mean, she's taken some 30, almost 35-foot 3-point attempts. So
Yeah.
she'll, I mean, absolutely let it fly from beyond the arc. So honestly, just either or of the props, I think for her on just sheer volume alone is going to be a potential good spot for her to, tonight.
I'm with you on that. Okay. Any other pieces for New York?
No, not right now. They're sandbagging us on the Dolson props too. We still don't have that up. And with the Howard news, we'll get that before locks. So at least that is a good bit of thing kind of in our favor. But we still have so much time before locks right now. We could definitely see some pre-bumps, if not for sure after Howard's confirmed out. Sabrina almost assuredly is going to 20 points.
Yeah. And we got a birthday girl in this game, right?
Yeah, Onuere. It's her birthday today.
Yeah. I mean, it's just hilarious how every single starter took 5 shots each.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I do think Marine's 3-point is appealing though at 1.5. No matter if Howard plays or not, I just, especially as they start to drop Sabrina, I feel like, yeah, she's gonna have to play more minutes to come in and relieve and help her out. So free up space on the perimeter. Okay, well, let's move to Dallas. So I can't figure out Dallas in this matchup. I know there's some potential like seeding and knocking teams off if they win, but they've clinched their spot. I mean, how much motivation is there in this game for them? Now we talk about Johannes having a spike huge breakout game. Mabry had her best game of her career. She scored a career high 31 points. Shot lights out. She was pulling little hezzies at the top of the key on players and just draining fadeaways. Her 3-point prop I know is of interest, and I get it. But yeah, I would say that pretty much is the only one that stands out to me. How much of a core play is that for you? And is there any other plays? I mean, Thornton had a great game defensively, but 15 of her fantasy points came from stocks. She had 5 stocks. So if she didn't get 5 stocks, she would have finished with 17 fantasy points. She makes me nervous. I know she's been super productive, but with Mabry and Gray dominating and even McCown dominating the usage, just makes me a little bit hesitant after her getting bumped at 27.
Yeah, definitely. And I think honestly, if for those members in the Discord, link down below, for those of you who were around early today, they definitely messed up with the opening lines and putting her at 24.5 fantasy score. But now that she's juiced up to 27, I mean, you're asking for, I would say, a minimum of another 3 stock game. Plus, she probably could have had a little bit more opportunity in the scoring department. She missed a few open, kind of easy looks, but they really overcorrected some of her props. And I wouldn't be surprised because of how much New York turns it over, how many points in the paint, all the usual stuff that we like for Dallas and any of these teams that funnel on the inside. So I wouldn't be surprised if she still ended up clearing her fantasy score tonight. But it kind of seems like, we've been on her for the last 2 games real heavy and a little bit the game before that. So we've seen it with McCowan. She's coming back down to earth just a little bit. I know that the fouls played a little bit of an issue with her. She really had to come alive in that last stretch of the game to clear out those fantasy for us. But with the foul calls and some of those things just kind of coming back on to earth, it feels like maybe this is a good time to get off of that train and go to somewhere else. So, me personally, I think it'll be somewhat of a core piece for me tonight from Mabry, just that 1.5 3 points made. It's something that she can come out and do in real short order and kind of hedges us for any kind of blowout risk, or not only blowout risk, but if they decide to rest the starters, she could land into this and before the first half for us.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and then like her other props, like her 2 turnovers and rebound would be a little more fringy if it doesn't. She's gonna need full run, I feel like, for those. I did notice in that game the commentator was talking about the Dallas coach emphasized before this little mini 2-game series against New York, emphasized the guards crashing the long rebounds and the glass to get those 3-point long rebound misses, and they made an emphasis in practice. The coach really wanted Mabry and the other guards to focus on that, and I think Mabry really did in the game and was really aggressive trying to get those long rebounds. I think she only finished at 4, but yeah, Gray had 4 as well. But yeah, they really emphasized that. So something to keep in mind. But I mean, she played 37 minutes and only had 4 rebounds. So you're gonna want full run here, and I'm just worried about the motivation here to win after clinching a spot. So I think I agree with you. I think the threes is a little more blowout safe here. Any other Dallas plays that you are interested in?
Yeah, let's see. I think I had one other small. I think that still we could go back to Veronica Burton, her fantasy score at 10.5. She's one of those low minutes kind of filler players, but she's been kind of skirting around that fantasy marker here for a little bit. And if we get any kind of extended run here, even honestly like 3 to 4 extra minutes out on the floor from them pulling the starters or this game being a blowout, which of the two, she could land into just a little bit more production here. And if New York is going to be just chucking the 3 ball, basically, I would assume almost the entire fourth quarter, we're going to see New York strictly go for the long ball. And she could fall into an extra 2 rebounds here and pick up an assist or something in that time.
Yeah, her and Ty Harris made me super nervous, man. Just after that Monday game. But I mean, I get it's such a low line. Because you imagine she didn't check in the fourth quarter because it started getting close. So, like you're saying, if you think it's gonna blow out, then she would get additional, 5 to 10 minutes of run here, maybe push 23 to 25 minutes.
Yeah, it's kind of a hedge on, instead of maybe taking the unders in this game, taking a few overs on the off chance that these secondary pieces fall into just more minutes.
Mm-hmm. Her field goals percentage is so bad. They're 27% on the season. And this is with an average of 14 minutes of play, and she played 15 minutes last game, and she takes about a little less than 2 field goal attempts. But I get it. I mean, it's 10 fantasy points for a full game run. But if she plays at 15 minutes again, that's essentially betting like on a first half prop.
Yeah. And then one last prop I'll still hit on. I think that for Thornton, she, like I said, had a few more opportunities to score some real points there. They do have her free throws made a little bit more juice now, but I think her real points still being at 10.5 is very much so in play for us.
Okay, and then her block steal potential.
Did they give her a stock prop today?
Yeah, 2. It's at 2, unless they took it down. Yeah, it's at 2.
Okay. Yeah, I missed that earlier. Yeah, I think that could definitely be in play because, I mean,
she got majority of those in the first half last game, right?
Yeah, before the first half ended, and that would kind of hedge for your full game props too, since I mean she did so much of that in her fantasy score just from the stocks alone. So
yeah.
With same narrative kind of with Gabby last night, if she's going to get there on that production line, you might as well just go for that specific prop then.
Yeah, she cleared this prop in the first half. She had 2 in the first quarter and then 1 in the second. So
Yeah.
okay, I think that's a high chance of pushing at the very least.
Definitely.
And I'll put Burton fantasy. Okay, anything else, or when I could probably try and get to our favorite game?
Yeah, this will definitely be a lighter splash of any of my cards tonight.
Yeah, probably some of these lower lines of like the Mabry threes, Johannes threes, and maybe a sprinkle Sabrina.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the game, the next one, though. Let's cut the chat. Dylan, hey, everyone, such a great night last night. Let's do it again. Hey, yeah, appreciate it, Dylan. It was a fun night, man. The process was there. Jermaine, let's go, fellas. Another bomb show. Hey, appreciate that. Everyday Fantasy, what to do, fam? Absolutely stellar content. Let's get it. Hey, thanks, man. It's always fun. I feel like when me and Eric brainstorm together and mind these props, like I feel a lot better on things and have a clear picture. So, yeah, it's just not for providing content, but it's also for us to think these through all together. Underrated, the best prop guys in the universe. Let's go, guys. Time to win again. Appreciate the underrated, our boy. Corey never fails hype. Let's go. I seen Sophie Fantasy looks good along with the 1.5 3-pointers with the guard, New York. Steven said, yeah. Yep, we'll get to Sophie. What up, Obi? And Jatoa and Io, our usual boys. Emerson, her PR. What's up, fellas? She can't rebound. JJ said, I assume you're talking about. Who are we talking about? Emerson, Sabrina free throws. Yeah, man, makes sense. What did they juice it to 4, right? Hey, what up, Coach DFS? And Thornton Crowder had 5 stocks. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, if she doesn't get those stocks, her fantasy's toast. The Shields fantasy should be good. Elaine said, and Coach said Diamond is better on the road. Yeah, we'll get to that for sure. A lot of favorable spots in that game. 40 said cash yesterday on your picks. Hey, good to hear, man. Good to hear.
Awesome.
Jay said, way to get a bounce back yesterday. Clutch picks, fellas. Hey, thanks, man. Thanks. Me and Eric trying our best out here. Why don't you like Sabrina PRA? I mean, obviously, she's going to carry the load and do it all for the team, especially if Natasha's Howard's out. So, yeah, she's going to be needed for the rebound. It's just that assist potential. I feel like when Natasha out and her current cast around her, the assist potential is so low. But, I mean, I feel like if she's going to clear – what is her PRA at? 32.5? I feel like if she's going to clear that, she's probably going to clear her points, right? I mean –
Yeah. So I think just more of the line of thinking is the straight up points is the shorter path of all the options that we have. Her PRA in fantasy, I would say probably 60 to, if Howard's out, almost 80% of it is going to come again from just straight up points.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, you saw in that game, a lot of times she didn't even look to pass. She was just chucking it. Like you said, those deep 30-plus foot 3-pointers, because she knows her teammates around her. Like, Crystal's not going to get it done. Rebecca's a ghost out there.
Yeah, and even with Johannes, most of her 3-point attempts were self-created shots.
Yes.
They had no assist opportunity for anybody.
Yes, that's a great point. Yeah. And I think she had some minutes with Sabrina off the court, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, somewhere in that first
she
rotation.
did. Yeah, a large portion in the second quarter.
That's because she was hot, and I mean, there's no reason for Coach to pull and just give Sabrina a little rest.
she made 3 of her threes in that second quarter stint with Sabrina off the court.
Yeah, could not miss.
So that hurt Sabrina's assist potential even more. But then they played the whole pretty much fourth quarter together.
Yeah, which I expect to be probably at least 2 of the core pieces from the closing unit here. Those 2 plus Dolson, and then whoever is playing well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm stuck. I'm gonna have to think about it some more before lock on Sabrina because she's this is a do or die game. She's needed, but it's I doubt I just don't like the matchup. I don't like the scenario. But when shot volume's there, you kind of have to go with it sometimes. Um, yeah, I'll have to think that through some more. But I mean, I think there's just so many other good prop options in this late night hammer. So this game starts much later. It's at 10 p.m. Eastern, and it's also a 3.5 point spread. It opened interestingly with Phoenix as 1.5 point favorites, and then it changed, completely flipped in Minnesota's favor with them being 3.5 point favorites. I don't know if that's necessarily due to powers being probable or if something else changed in the line maker's decision there. But yeah, it did open early on as Phoenix 1.5. So I mean, this game, we saw this game the last time they played. It was probably one of the best prop fantasy games of the season. It went to, I believe, triple overtime, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Let me find it. Yeah, double overtime. And man, what Skylar had 68 fantasy points. Sophie had 63. And Tarasi had like a mediocre game. And still played like 43 minutes relative to being double overtime and compared to the rest of the players. I think I'm not saying that this game tonight is obviously going to go double overtime, but if this game can hold true and these teams are fighting for this last playoff spot, and we can just hope that it goes down to the wire and these teams just go all in. This could be like the prop Honeywell and Gem site here. I mean, and I feel like the lines are very favorable. I mean, they're not juiced too crazy with that line of thinking, and with Tarasi being out for Phoenix too. So let's just get into Minnesota. We have Powers returning. She missed Sunday because she hyperextended her knee in that previous game before Sunday. And yeah, I think she was probable on Sunday, and then she was a late scratch. And it looks like she's good to go today. So that's going to bolster their crew even more. And then they had someone else return, right? They had Collier.
Yeah, she's back.
She's back. So that's going to deepen their bench some more. And then Rachel Bainham popped up on the injury report early this morning, and then now I believe she's off the injury report. So I don't know what's going on with that. Do we have any more news on that?
No, and I was trying to find on Twitter if anybody was talking about that or what was going on. So, I mean, she might play like even more of a minimal role here, but that's kind of confusing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's kind of hard to judge Collier being back because when her first game back, Powers was out, so she could soak up some more minutes. But now with Powers and her back, I'm not sure entirely how the minute rotation is going to go. Do you think Shepard loses out on minutes?
Yeah, I think she's got to cut into some of definitely Shepard's, but probably a little bit of Powers as well. Even if it's just a few minutes, I mean, they have to
Yeah.
cut into each other. If not direct minutes, then with both of them coming off the bench, I would assume they're probably both going to come off the bench here, but we could see Collier start, and maybe they go back to just having Powers run the second unit.
Yeah, and that would probably drop Powers minutes down to 25, 26.
And then you run the risk of her kind of playing alongside Rachel as well. So,
Or they go back to Shepard coming off the bench. They did that a lot this season.
they definitely could. There's I don't think enough incentive for them to play their normal kind of mixed front court, back court. They could honestly just drop down, go fouls as the solo big, and play small pretty much all night. And then the second
Yeah, because
unit
it's
is
just
going to
Turner
play.
down there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get right into it. Let's get into our favorite plays that me and you both like independently, and that usually is a good sign. So, Jefferson, love her lines today. Her points are too low. I feel like her assists are very tempting, and her PRA. So like all of them so much, I'm probably just gonna get exposure to all of them. But if I had a lean one, maybe just do the PRA since I like all of her um, scoring and playmaking potential. But yeah, 9.5 points I have her at. If you look at Bet 365, I don't know what underdog and sports battle have her at, but Bet 365 is opening her at 12.5 points. That's the largest point gap I've seen so far, but with price shopping there. All the models and projections have her well over this 9.5 points, as well as her PRA too. But I think you found a little nugget on her assist. I'll let you go over share with the group on that. And then I can never make right, but I feel like this would be the spot for her scoring wise. Just going with her straight points because she doesn't really get assists or rebounds or stock. So if you like her in this matchup, especially against Phoenix backcourt, which is very porous and a lot of bad defensive ratings there. Totally get it. But yeah, probably just going to have exposure to both McBride and Jefferson's points separately. And then if I wanted to pair Mariah's assists with McBride's points. And then Powers. I want to see the starting lineup. If she's starting and I have a better feel on her minutes, then I really love this 3.5 rebound. She's crushed Phoenix on the glass before. Phoenix, they take second most threes. They're going to chuck it, and Powers drives up those long rebounds. And Phoenix is the worst rebounding team in the league. Their 12th rebound percentage. 3.5 is just too low for her. The only concern is minutes now with Collier and if she's starting. So we got to confirm that. But yeah, I mean, she's averaged 4.7 on the season. I believe she had 10 rebounds against Phoenix before. Yeah, she had 10 rebounds. Or wait, 8 rebounds in 29 minutes. In the double overtime game, which is going to be a little bit inflated, obviously, she had 13 rebounds. And then the first matchup, she had 5 rebounds in 28 minutes. I would say this is more realistic. So hopefully she can get that 26 to 28 minute range, and I would feel good. The other concern besides her minutes is her knee, if it's actually good to go. So, but it's just such a low line. I really like it. And then Sylvia, we noticed her minutes. She hasn't played 30 minutes since July 12th, which was this double overtime game. So what's your thoughts on that? Is it just because her knee and her age, she just can't go that long, no matter if they want to run her or not? And is she going to be hard capped at like 28 minutes per se?
That's definitely a concern because there were so many of these games where they desperately needed her out there and coach just did not put her in. And I would even say it was due to like Milik or any of these secondary pieces really getting that hot. I mean, she had a fairly subpar outing this last game in the first half and then really pulled through in the second half. But right now, I don't know, man. There's a lot going on with Minnesota. Going back to Powers real fast though, somebody had tweeted out that she's expected to come off the bench tonight.
Mm.
So I think that it's kind of a double-edged sword for us. It sucks because that is definitely a question mark on her minutes. But if she's coming off, and I would assume she's going to be the first sub in, first off, and then secondly, she's going to be leading the second unit whenever they make that first transition for substitutes. So that could actually bode a little bit or better for us because she's going to be the primary ball handler, and she's one of the most incentivized players on her team to grab those rebounds. For her history, she's cleared her rebound props in the last 4 seasons, every meeting against Phoenix, and that would probably be in line with Phoenix taking so many 3-point attempts as a team. So I think it's still maybe a lower mid-tier option for us to consider that 3.5 rebounds. Something that she can definitely clear in short work, but the minutes could be a bit of a concern for us. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's just that it's great you pointing that out and getting that information because that makes me a little bit more nervous. I mean, I'm just going back in the season logs. When looking at her minutes, I know it's a lot different now because different unit and everything. But just looking at her minutes when she comes off the bench, and so far I'm finding she's playing around 20 to 22 minutes off the bench.
Yeah, we're going to really need, I would say, probably 25 to 28
Yeah.
minutes tonight. So some of that hopefully could be her coming back and trying to get back into conditioning, or if that knee is really a concern, there could even be a risk for her to re-injure it tonight. We could see her get pulled mid-game and crush a lot of any kind of props that we're on.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth the risk. Not with prop betting. I get it for like DFS, but we want certainty. So okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad we cleared that up on stream. So okay. Well, moving back to Mariah and McBride. What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I definitely love McBride today. I think that she's probably one of the more key players that is really going to have to help keep this offense afloat. I'm still kind of 50-50 between her PRA and her real points. I think that she's the most capable for the PRA. And just a little nugget to hit on right now. She's currently 7 assists away from her 500th career assist. So a little milestone marker, a little incentive there for her. And I like that for two reasons. One, for her straight up assist prop. I think that if you're going to solo this out and maybe make a full game card, you could definitely consider running her assist prop with some of these other points. But I don't think we can go wrong really tonight with the PRA or even just the straight up points. The points, I think that has the largest gap, as you mentioned, for sports betting. And right now, just on the books, that seems like that has the largest gap out in the field right now.
Well, they also, at least on Bet365, they have her assists at 5.5, and obviously on PrizePicks we're getting a 1 assist discount at 4.5.
Oh, nice. And that makes me feel even better because her season average is like 5.4 on these road games anyways. So definitely an option for us to consider. I really just don't think we can go wrong with her tonight. And she's back to 100% now, so there's no question about that.
Yeah, great matchup. Key game. So totally makes sense for the assist. I'm with you on that. I'll definitely have exposure to that, but I'd maybe just secure everything with the PRA too. But man, that point's slow. She's gonna have to hit her 3, which at one point in the league, she led the league in 3-point percentage, but she also took it a lot less threes than a lot of players. But yeah.
Yeah, and just real fast to kind of shout out one of our questions. Dylan asked if we preferred her PRA to her fantasy. PRA, I think definitely tonight for a couple of reasons. One, now that we have Tarasi out, she accounted for so many different turnovers between the team, and that's really going to cut down on some of our potential stock upside that we could have for Mariah. And as a whole, really, Phoenix doesn't turn it over that much. And you can see in her game logs that she didn't get really any stocks in any of the matchups so far this season.
Yeah. Okay, so we're in agreement on that. And with McBride, so would you say for her, number 1 would be points, and then number 2 would be her threes or her free throw?
I actually really like her fantasy score today. It's something that she's been the team's kind of road warrior, and we've seen that kind of night and day dance with her and Powers. Powers has really been one of their at-home key players, but even though I know McBride is so frustrating because she can go out there, she can play 35 minutes and put up like 6 points, and we've seen it happen. But her history matchup and this as a whole, a lot of it is coming in large part to just her straight up points. So I do like that as one really strong option today. And for her fantasy score, we know that she's going to take a lot of 3-point attempts, and they put that at 1.5, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so that I think we could definitely consider for her. She doesn't take as many 3-point attempts as I would like to see in a guard. So that has me a little hesitant on it. She's going to have to be super efficient in order to get us there.
Mm-hmm.
But her fantasy score, just as a whole, with the rebounding opportunity here, and just kind of her history against Phoenix in the last 4 seasons, she's cleared this prop in 10 of the 11 meetings that they've had. So just a little nugget there for you.
Yep. It's a low line for sure. Okay, and then what are we doing with fouls? It's a great spot, but man, those minutes.
Yeah, the minutes is going to be, I think, the thing that we might be kicking ourselves at the end of the night. But I mean, Minnesota has to win here. Like they absolutely have to play for every ounce of this game, and a lot of these games that they're losing is because Fouls is a complete ghost in the first half. She's not doing anything,
Yeah.
any of this heavy lifting that the team has really relied on so far for the season. I don't think for her, I feel super confident in her, I would say, straight up rebounds, but her history against this team, she's put up 14 points on them in both of the games this season, or yeah, in two out of the 3 games that she's played so far, and it's right there on the line. Her props at 13.5, so I think it's in her wheelhouse. But maybe we just kind of our game script from last night. We just go for the fantasy score and hope she falls into some stocks and just kind of gets there on minutes.
Yeah, I mean, she's had game where she puts up less than 10 real points and still could buy her fantasy because of stocks and rebounds. I will say I'm with you on the offense. Sometimes she just ghost us, but a lot of that's because of when Powers would start. Powers was such a usage hog. As you can see here, that season average, by far, Powers led in usage, 26%. Maybe Sylvia can get a little more action here. We should look at an on-off court tool, and see how much of a boost that Fouls gets in offense and her shot attempts and usage. That could really boost her point potential if Powers is actually coming off the bench and playing significantly less minutes. I feel like in that last game that Powers was out, Sylvia, how many points did she finish with here? Eight points. But Atlanta's one of the better interior paint defenses. Yeah, that usage rate, man. She's going to really have to get it done with her rebounding and stocks if you want to go her fantasy.
Yeah, it's for me not a comfortable click at all, just because there's so much uncertainty with just her minutes, and forbid that knee injury starts re-aggravating her in the mid game and they have to pull her or anything. There's just so much uncertainty around her right now, and yeah, I know it's her last season and blah blah blah, but so far that narrative has not played into this whatsoever.
No, I just literally think it's like it's like a spare wheel in a car, man. You can only run it so much, and I think the trainers know that. I mean, they know her and how to treat her. I mean, she's dealt with this knee issue all season, and just recently they had to shut her down and rest her for a couple of games too, right? So
Yeah, surprisingly.
yeah. I mean, it's a great spot, and the narrative's there. Like you said, the last season must-win game. So I get it. If you want to roll the dice on her points rebound or fantasy, but I'm probably going to stick with McBride and Jefferson as a 2 core for Minnesota. Any other props for Minnesota?
Let me double check here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I was really trying to do a pretty big deep dive for this team because I think there's a lot of potential. Like if we look at the meetings this season, Fowles had a fairly good outing against him, and so did Shepard, and that kind of scares me because she's such an up and down player, but our model really likes her, and she's had a good track history in this matchup. And I know that, yeah, the double overtime really padded that one game, but even in the first game, she had a fairly good outing. And if she's going to pick up almost a double double in this meeting, that she could be live for a lot of her props, but you're just kind of adding her to the bunch of unknowns.
Yeah, I remember this double overtime game. I had Fowles 12.5 points in a card, and I was sweating it because she didn't clear it, and then it went to overtime, and then she still didn't clear it in the first overtime.
Yeah.
And then I think she finally cleared in this either the end of the first overtime or the beginning of the second overtime. It was a
I
sweat.
think, yeah, I think she had one shy of it, and then she hit a free throw right before the end.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh man, why did Jefferson play such little minutes? And like, is this the game she got hurt, right? Yes. This
Yeah.
is the game she hurt her knee and was never right since like the I don't know 5+ games after.
Yeah, this was that underlying game that they didn't really report on, where she aggravated it,
Mhm.
and then they started kind of, or I mean, really dialing her back for that 4 or 5 game stretch there.
Minnesota coach, I will say, is very frustrating,
Very unpredictable.
very unpredictable. So keep that in mind, crew. Logically, you could think out a rotation and what minutes should be, but with her, you can't accurately pinpoint what she's going to do. So
Yeah,
can make things
honestly, because I wouldn't even be surprised if we see Collier start here and they just completely switch up. This will be, I think, the 6th different look we've had from this offense so far this season.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to Phoenix. We made Sky the cover girl. Obviously, Taurasi is out. The last 2 games with Taurasi out, she played Connecticut back-to-back. And we talked about this yesterday. Connecticut shuts down the primary player, offensive player. And you saw that with Nneka. Nneka didn't clear her points. Or PRA. So I think if you look at her recent games, you're like, oh man, she's like she's struggling, and she's coming off of illness. But if there was ever time, players you want, like, this is it. You want Sky because she's angry too. If you look at her Twitter, she's really angry. She's mad about how the officiating's going, how the league is handling some things, and yeah, and she's going to be frustrated after those 2 Connecticut games, coming back home to Phoenix.
The Brittany narrative.
Yeah. And I mean, Sky is the type of player that plays with so much motivation and tenacity, like KFC. And I want players like that. So her 18.5 points, love it. Probably one of my favorite core plays of the day. Honestly, I think it should be 19.5 or 20.5. Given the current situation, the gravity of the game, and Taurasi being out, she's gonna have to do it. I know she has Sophie and Petty and Diamond, but no, Sky, when she takes over, it's head down, and she's focused on getting it done herself. So I love it. And then we all love Sophie's fantasy potential here. It's probably too low at 23.5. I'll let you touch on that some more too. Just because she's getting it done with her defense and stocks and just the amount of minutes she's playing. I mean, 35+ minutes. I don't see that changing in a must-win game today at home. So love that too. I don't think that negatively correlates with Sky's points. They can still get it done and clear that. And then if you want some more correlation, we talked about Petty's assists with Taurasi being out. I know it's been living right on the edge as of late, but you got to remember they played Connecticut, very tough matchup. And then the game on Sunday or Saturday, whatever the most recent game when they played New York and Phoenix, they did not have Sky. So that reduces the assist potential a lot for Petty. But she's been also getting it done, filling the stat line all around. So if you want to take her fantasy, totally get it. But we don't want to take too much fantasy to eat into each other or prop plays on one card. So her assists would go nicely with Sky's points and Sophie's fantasy. And then I would say a third or fourth secondary piece for me would be Diamond. I know she's productive now starting, but this is a tough matchup for her. A lot of her scoring comes in the paint, and Minnesota, that's their specialty. With Sylvia down there and Shepard, it's going to be hard for her to score, and she struggled in the pass against Minnesota. So yeah, over 50% of her points come from the paint. So best way to attack Minnesota is through the three ball. They allow the second most threes made, and they allow the most 3-point attempts. So teams are taking those threes against them. And Phoenix takes the second most threes. So lining up for 3-point barrage here from Phoenix, and that's going to be players like Sophie, Petty, Sky, and Diamond will take 2 to 3. But what are your thoughts on that? If you want to touch on that, and do you have your favorite play out of the bunch here? Because I feel like there's a lot of favorable spots.
Yeah, it's hard to really narrow down my number one from this side of the things today, but it's got to start with Skylar. I mean, she's just prime for an absolute smash spot here. I think honestly, even the extra time off, having that day or that game off to rest, might even be just the cherry on top of this perfect storm for her. So love that 18.5. With this being a later lock too, we could 100% see that get also bumped up to 19. So just a little kind of, if you guys got early leans, make sure to get those in, because we've already seen line bumps today and they've been fairly aggressive this week. So just a little something to think about there. I think for the team as a whole, though, honestly, Sophie, her fantasy score is just way too low. They had actually, I don't even think it was adjusted up from the last time. I want to say it actually went down from 24, but this is something that she's just been destroying all year. And moving into the starting unit now, she's cleared this in 11 of their 15 home games, and in the starting or for the year, she's cleared in 11 of 15 games, and since starting at home, she's cleared this in 6 of 8 games. So this is something that well in her wheelhouse. Minnesota turns the ball over a handful, and so she could fall into a couple extra stocks there. Plus, with the 3-point opportunity for her, we know that Phoenix takes the most in the leagues for 3-point attempts, but especially at home, like that's their bread and butter, is even more so at home. We are going to have Taurasi out tonight, so that is a ton of shot attempts that is going to have to go around for the team. I really don't think we could go wrong with taking Petty's assist and kind of pairing that up with either of Skylar or Sophie or even Diamond for that matter. Maybe not her free throw prop, because that's something that's going to negatively correlate, but almost everything else, I think honestly, we can mix and match almost all of these props tonight, and you really can't go wrong.
Yeah, if the game holds true, yeah, for sure. I'm totally with you on that. You remember back in the day, early in the season, whenever Taurasi or Skylar were out, this was like a staple play for us, Petty's assist. And we were still playing it when it was above 4 in those games when either one of them were out back early in the season.
Yeah, I think it's something that's definitely live for us. And not only is it standalone or a game stack standalone play for building your cards, she is just going to be out there for an insane amount of time. And with Skylar, hopefully taking a majority of the shots here, and Sophie, she's going to be passing the ball a fair amount tonight. So I would expect Skylar to probably even push 36, 38% usage tonight, if not even 40%. With it being at home and everything kind of lining up for her to really do a lot of the shooting tonight, that might be a core piece to kind of 1A, 1B together, or like a handcuff for us.
Yeah, totally with you. I mean, if you look at the assist percentage, she's second behind Sky, but this assist percentage for Sky, a lot of this is coming from Taurasi playing and her dishing it out to Taurasi, shooting the 3 ball. I agree. I think Taurasi's or Sky's going to probably be more aggressive, take more shots than normal. She's already averaging 16 field goal attempts in the season. That, I think that goes, I think, well above 20 today. So yeah, you got to think this assist percentage would go above 20% in this matchup for Petty. And the next closest would be Diamond at 14%, but that was probably accrued from earlier in the season when she was playing more minutes alongside Taurasi and Sky when she started.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so yeah, we'd like those three. How much Diamond are you gonna have?
I'm gonna still have, I would say, not a minimal, but enough exposure to make a splash in some of the cards tonight. The biggest thing for her that scares me is just the second half. I don't know what's going on with her. I wouldn't even say minutes, but production. She's been extremely explosive in the first half, and I know the other day she went for, I think, 14 points in the first half, and then ended with 0 in the second half. Like, didn't have any points. So maybe that was an anomaly, but it just feels like to me in the last 2 games she's been somewhat of a ghost in the second half, and maybe that's still a conditioning thing or something that coaches are trying to be a little bit wary about, because they're in a good spot right now to make the postseason, and I don't think that they need to play all the starters 110%, but we'll probably get 3 to 4 out of the starters playing, I would say, almost 33 to 35 minutes tonight, if not even more, for probably Skylar, because she can go out there and play almost the full 40 minutes.
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking at the last game against New York with Sky out. Yeah, you're right. Diamond didn't do much at all in that game in the second half. She had 2 field goal attempts in the third and the fourth and missed both of them. So I feel like she's been like that all season. I feel like we always targeted her first half props because of that.
Yeah, we were on her PRA for the most part, and then she was picking it up in a lot of those potential stock matchups, and we switched to the fantasy, and then she just, kind of flipped the script on us, where now, or at a certain point, she was thriving in the second half and was really carrying the team there, and now we're just seeing her just kind of being ball hog in the first half, and the second half she's just non-existent.
Yeah. But man, these minutes, this is prop heaven here. I mean, look how tight this rotation is. Now you just throw in Sky for Sims, probably take down some minutes for Diamond, and maybe a little bit for Petty. But I mean,
Yeah,
minutes with that many minutes, like fantasy point is probably the way to go for a lot of these players. Yeah.
100%. And I think maybe for Sky, she's the only one that we could throw that question mark on, just because it is so high, and
Yeah.
maybe just the straight up points is going to be an easier route.
Yeah.
But for the rest of this team, assuming that Diamond doesn't get into foul trouble, because I think that also has been a slight thing for her, with not really being in the starting unit, but the more minutes that she plays has led to more foul trouble. And even in this game, though, I mean, you look at that point spread, Phoenix was up by 14 points here, and they still pushed their whole starting unit almost 35 minutes just all around. So for me, I think this is exactly what we're going to see tonight, almost regardless of game script, unless they start blowing them out by 20 plus, which I really don't see happening, but possible. This is going to be really close to our minutes projection tonight.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I think tonight the key thing is just going to be card construction and getting the right build and exposure to each of them in combination. So, anything else we missed? I guess maybe Diamond's free throws we've targeted in the past, but it's always risky relying on refs. But it is only at 2. Minnesota's,
bad.
they're like average with their fouls.
Yeah, I don't think it's a horrible play, but definitely for what we have laid out in front of us, probably a lower fringe play.
Yeah, just stick with the fantasy if you're gonna go with her. Just due to the sheer minutes. She's gonna play 32 plus minutes, even in a bad matchup. 20 fantasy, it's really low.
Yeah, and with the
And
stock
it,
potential here.
yeah, and the same holds true for Sophie too. But you can't play them all on the same. I mean, I guess theoretically, you could play 3 or 4 out of in a 5 pick card, but I wouldn't recommend that. It's a lot of eggs in one basket. All right, we'll catch up with Chad, and you want to do the team card?
Yeah, we'll do that and head out. And
Yeah.
we got a later lock today, so we'll get a little more time to chop it up. Are you hoping to hop in the Discord or no?
Yeah, I'm gonna get. Yeah, I'll be in there for the whole hour before lock. Yeah.
Sweet.
What did I miss? Okay. What up, Jr? Shepherd Point's kind of a nice prop. She's covering all games. Yeah, and Collier. Yeah, man, and Shep, man, I've seen her miss wide open putbacks and layups. That's why I usually take her under, but I get it in this matchup. It is favorable. Oh, and I guess honorable mention, you can always consider Brianna Turner's under 4 points. I believe in all 3 games this season against Minnesota, she has not gone over that. I think she had 2 points, 2 points, and 3 points in all 3 games. Tough sledding for her. She's going to be looking to just get the rebound and pass it out.
Yeah, we've seen her assist climb up quite a bit as of recent.
Mm-hmm. CJ, do you like Dallas started to score more than 3 2-point fields maybe with the first 6 minutes?
I was actually just thinking about that. I was literally just about to hit on that.
Oh, you talked
Yeah,
about that last time in this matchup, right?
yeah, I did. I think I mentioned it very briefly on stream, and then we talked about it more and more afterwards, and was kind of kicking myself for not mentioning that. But with Arike out right now, she was taking so many different early 3-point attempts that now the offense, with it being funneled through McCowan, and even more recently with Thornton now, the points in the paint allowed for New York and just how they played last game, they had 6 field goals made in the first 6 minutes. So it's, take it for what it is as a risky play, but I think it's actually in a really good spot again tonight.
Yeah, that was a sharp call last time for sure. Jay said fouls rebound prop only. Yeah, I mean it's a great rebounding spot. It's going against the worst rebounding team. The only thing is minutes, and a lot of the shots are going to be long rebounds that could be out of her range from the 3-point shot. But if she gets 28 to 30 minutes, I can definitely see her rebound prop being a play. Jato said, might be minority, but I'd love some Shepherd over 5.5 points and 6.5 rebounds. Yeah, I don't know. The Minnesota rotation, man. I want to see the starting lineup first before we can make any decision on that.
If she's starting, I would say yeah. I mean, our models liked her, but
Yeah.
there's just a question mark right now.
Yeah. Phoenix chucking threes. JJ said, "Yep, 100%." Even with Tarasi out, you saw Petty took 11 threes. That's about what Tarasi was taking, and Cunningham taking 8. So with Sky being back, Sky's probably going to take a handful. Petty will probably take 5+ with Sky back. So yeah, they're still going to chuck threes.
And just to kind of tack onto that, we've seen more recently that Sky has actually taken a huge step back from her 3-point attempts in most of these games. But now with Tarasi being out, I mean, she's almost assuredly going to shoot 4 to 6 from beyond the arc tonight. Like, you can almost guarantee that.
Yeah. Can you build a 5 card with 4 Phoenix players on it? I think, depending on the props. Yeah. Just do the minutes.
If you're doing that, you probably honestly just go down to the 4 and go to a power play with that.
Okay. Silent said, kind of sneaky, but could consider Powers under 2.5 turnovers, coming off the bench and leading the second teams with possibly less minutes, less chance of turning the ball over. I like the process behind that. Makes sense. But yeah, we just need to confirm that she's coming off the bench, and if she is, there's still a possibility that she could say close and pick up still a lot of minutes. So I don't know. I don't trust Minnesota coach. Are we assuming that SDS starting, or she should? Oh yeah,
Yeah, Skylar's starting.
100%. I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, she was only out because of an illness. What do you guys think about over 1 3-pointer per 6 minutes for Phoenix? Miller.
If Taurasi was playing, I would say definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Skylar's not the best 3-point shooter. I mean, she can get it done. She's okay. I mean, they're all Sky and Petty. If you look at their season average, they're pretty equivalent percentage wise. Sophie would be the one to really push it. So if Sophie came out on fire, yeah, maybe Luis is just thinking that Sky would come off the bench because maybe she's dealing with some ailment. But I think as far as I know, she's good to go. So if you had any concern about that, okay, let's do our infamous team card. What you got for us?
All right. I'm assuming you'll probably go with the cover girl. So I'm going to go with one of my favorites today, with Cunningham, her 23.5 fantasy.
Love it. Core plays, man. Core plays. Sophie, she's a bad girl, man.
Yeah, she is. I'm still waiting on that tweet and see if she got her hair done today.
Yeah. She likes to get her hair done before some games. Yeah, the majority of the league does not like playing against her. They say she's a very dirty player.
I mean, hey, she's not the tallest, but she has more bite in her than I have ever seen for such a small. Like, you wouldn't even think that she's playing at center out there.
Okay, I'll go with Petty's assist. And I'm gonna let you make the call on Mariah and McBride. We could do a 5 flex and add both of them, but I'm gonna let you make a call on their individual props.
Okay. So for this one, actually, since we're kind of heading down this path anyways, let's make this card as a single stack for this last game.
Yep.
I really like I think, man. Okay, got to go with the gut. Let's go with McBride fantasy, and then Jefferson assist.
Bam, late night card. You could enter it even now or whenever, but for juicing, or if you need a tilt later on because the first game is bad. There you go.
Yeah, and if you got any gut calls for fouls, then maybe just swap out. I know the field typically doesn't like McBride, so you could swap out her and kind of interchange for maybe PRA or whatever for Jefferson.
Okay, and the next one, we get a little bit more exposure, maybe just 1 or 2 from the first game, or we just build a different card. I mean, we don't have to force that other game, but
yeah, we can go with a full standalone. You want to start with that, or
a combo?
Full, yeah. Let's go with you're just clicking on it, that 1.5 threes.
Bam. And then
I do think you could core Sky in honestly any of your lineups tonight.
Yeah. But just to give the crew some variety, I'm gonna go with, just in case, I'm gonna go with Mariah's PRA.
Nice, I like it. Let me see. So just to give her the nod, let's get Sabrina 19.5 points up there.
All right.
I doubted her last game, and she definitely proved me way wrong.
Well, to correlate with that, let's go. I'm gonna go under on Lainey.
Lainey, yeah, I like that.
And then if we wanted to add one more, you could just run as a 4. But if we want to add one more flex, what's one player that we both really liked that we do not have?
Going back to the list from earlier real quick.
Oh, we could either go one of the Phoenix players here. We can go Sky, Sophie, Diamond, or Petty.
Let's go with Sky. I mean, I think she's just going to get it done regardless.
Yeah. Bam.
And hopefully this will get out in enough time before any kind of bumps.
Yeah. And this has got some good variety to it too. Make sure so. Okay. Tomorrow we have 2 games, right?
I believe so. Yeah, 2 games.
We'll definitely be back for that.
One real good game. Super excited about Chicago at Vegas.
Oh yeah, remember it was the Cup game? That was a great game. The most recent one, champions. Okay. Yeah. Did you get a video out today?
I did. Yeah, I had a nice breakdown for both sides here, and I ended up with 5 picks today for everyone. You can find me over at Eric's Prop Stop on YouTube.
Yeah, the link is in the description too. If you're not familiar, find his YouTube channel there. And yeah, and we'll get this stuff out in social media, and then we'll share all our data and stuff on our Discord, open source. If you're not part of it, definitely join us. All positive vibes, and we love seeing the screenshots. So definitely hop on board if you're not part of the team yet. It's a lot of fun, and we're gonna gear up for NFL and NBA for sure. Love NBA. So
I can't wait.
Yeah. And then we'll still have WNBA playoffs too. So I'm really excited about that actually. I think we'll have some great matchup series going. But yeah, let's look out for Minnesota lineup. I think that's gonna be key. Probably won't get it before lock, I assume, before the first game locks. But yeah, keep an eye out for Natasha Howard news. I think those are two big pieces we're waiting on. Howard confirmation she's out, and then the lineup for Minnesota. So we'll be on top of that, and we'll share anything we find with the group on Discord. So, all right, guys. Yeah, Lainey under is a sleeper, and I had a feeling on her since last night. Just the eye test watching her games. I mean, obviously she can have a fluke 3-point shooting game today, but yeah. All right, guys. Eric, you got any last things?
No, just good luck tonight, and we'll see you guys in the Discord.
All right, guys. Let's share the rankings soon, and Eric will have his too. A lot of it's just communal stuff that we all put together, but just give a variety. So we have multiple different rankings, but we'll get all those out and share with everyone. And all right, let's keep the streak going. I'm feeling good about this slate, man. All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Let's fucking go. We about to go big. Kill him with the PrizePicks. Let's fucking go. We going out blazing.
Let's get hunting.
This is population. About to go big. Kill him with the PrizePicks. About to go big. Kill him with the PrizePicks. 24/7 researching, it's all a fantasy. But if it makes the right plays, it pays automatically. Bankroll showing that I know it, dope strategy. On a winning streak, I'm Yankees all get mad at me. Confident with power plays, not clicking on a flex today. 10 times the money, and we all about to get paid. Arrogant shots on the stream, they be killing it. Never gonna stop it, they like if you feeling it. Digging the players, they all never time. You can't make up your mind and just go with your gut. Fantasize and Sasha Clown. Gabby Williams said, watch your mouth. They won and they two, I played it over, they come through. Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum, pick them both, we stacking them. Going big to the maximum, just push them in, we cashing them. Let's fucking go, we about to go big. Kill him with the PrizePicks. Let's fucking go, we going out blazing. This is population. About to go big. Kill him with the PrizePicks. About to go big. Kill him with the PrizePicks. We about to go big.
This is the game.
We going out blazing.
Let's get hunting.
This is population.